Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Pitchside. First of all, allow me to say thank you to all the people that always watch this content and share it and of course comment. I really do appreciate it. So once again, thank you and welcome again to another edition of Pitchside. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by someone, a face that Ugandan football, the legendary Tonny Mawejje.
Hello to everyone that is watching us at Pitchside.
Yep.
We are here for you again, and we ask you to keep on Pitchside and always watch Pitchside, okay?
Tonny, thank you very much for joining me on Pitchside. As the entire Uganda knows, or the entire world, Tonny's former teammate on the national team, Emmanuel Okwii, announced his retirement, of course, from international duty. That means he announced his retirement from the Uganda Cranes. After 16 years of service, Emmanuel Okwii racked up 95 caps for the national team, scored 28 goals, but most importantly, was part of the Cranes team that last played at the AFCON in 2019. He was not only part of it, he was one of the best players at the tournament. I think he scored 2 goals. And so for him to have announced his retirement, first of all, the entire world has been, appreciating him, Uganda as well, for the, for the support that he has had, for the contribution he has had on the national team and what he has achieved. It's only fair for us to speak or to give Emmanuel Okwii a tribute with someone that played alongside him and knows him very well. That's why I am reintroducing Tonny Mawejje, who joins me here on Pitchside to have a brief chat about his former teammate Emmanuel Okwii. Tonny Okwii announcing his retirement. First of all, how did you receive the news? And how do you reflect on the retirement of your former teammate?
First of all, I want on a personal basis to thank him for the work well done for the national team, all that he has done for the national team, the goals, the good matches. I think we should all come out as a collective, as a country, to appreciate what he has done for the country, because it's not always easy for a person to give their time. He has always been there. I've played with him a lot of campaigns. We've some time back, you can remember the days we used to try and then fail to qualify. There came a time when we qualified and the pain went away. I really appreciate all his efforts, all the services he has given to the national team, and I'm so happy that he has finally come out and said yes. Yeah, this is the end of the era of Emmanuel Okwii. As
someone who played with Emmanuel Okwii, I just want to know briefly, for the time that you played with him, how do you pay tribute to Emma Okwii? Chichi Emma Chealina nga wombera ku kisaawe, you feel like aina kya ataddeo, like you're sure oboli awo musambo geno labanga Emma aina kya akoze ekyenjawulo.
Yakutandikira ku the game we both played with him and we scored, both of us.
Yes.
In this game it was against Angola. This is a game
at Nambole.
This is a game that was so difficult for us. Abantu bona bachimanyi nti Nambole, if that big number of fans behind you, team neja nebateba. And it was not easy. Tulina abawagizi nti Boba wagira goal. Boba wagiranga muli ku top of the game. Coming from behind bote babimanyi. So usually it happened nti team bwe yajanga ne basoko okuteba. Then the fans go silent. Then watching each and every moment and then starting to criticize whoever makes a mistake. So it happened in the mweno game Angola itutebe already, and they were good on the board. We could pass the ball around and got a twina we tukolache we tulaba we tuja win. So it needed individuals to uplift the team, and in this game Emma stood out. I remember yatwala mpira n'agenda mu wing, naye ndowooza yakuba his eye on the goalkeeper
ngalaba
atambudde, then n'amukuba omupira and Nambole went crazy. Actually it was around 80 something minutes, few minutes to the end of the game. Now equalizing on Peter, standing out then eventually netuva mabega netukola ki netuguwangula kyengezako okujayo nti no is one of the guys that could stand out in such games nga ziganye nakwata omupiira nakola ki nagenda mu maaso nabako ekyenjawulo kyayongera mu team emipiira mingi nnyo not only that game bwetunulako nti is a guy who had speed nga atwala team mu maaso with that speed and always obulaba nti we know him as a striker because he has scored a lot of goals but he's a guy that could always try to drift in the wing and before you know he's on the right wing and before you know Akatin's inside akubi left and when you watch most of his goals akubiza left foot. He has a very strong left foot and most defenders bamumarking bamanyi nti right footed player akutwala ku right you knowing nti agenda with that right whatever and then he cuts inside and shoots very strong shot with the left foot. So he's been so instrumental and it's been so good for the past generations because he has been consistent just like me. He has played football for almost 2 generations and which isn't easy, you know, kubeera consistent. He has been consistent but he has played good games for the national team. I think to kufuna reason as also the fans to appreciate this guy, but on all I appreciate all his services that wadenga striker wa Uganda. He's among, by the way, the all-time goal scorers on the national team. So this is not something we should just take for granted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some of the players that have really played a number of games on the national team. You played 83 times for the Cranes, or you picked up 83 caps. Emma has 95. Dennis Onyango, I think, played 89. Yeah. Godfrey Rusimbi played 102, 103 times. Murshid Juka as well, quite a number of caps. Njagala soka tegeera mwasobola mutya okuzanyira national team for all those number of years. What was the driving force naddala ku generation eyo gyenjogedeko and the kind of players that I've mentioned? From your side as Tonny Mawejje, how were you guys able to play consistently nga buli we mujja babayita ne mujja ne muteekawo embeera kya kugamba driving force yali ki?
Yeah, first of all I remember nti for kujja ku national team it wasn't so easy. So we were kind of prepared and sharpened to come and play for the national team. Wetubadde nga tukyali moye embeera nga tuli batoe nga tujja in that setup of the national team. It took us time. Tubadde tujja ne traininga, then you go back. You come and train because we come on the national team already nga waliwo abaliwo. For my case, I came on the national team nga waliwo Kasule, Babadi, Bajope during those days, the Dani Mubiru, and those were common figures in the midfield. Wotunulia for Emmanuel Okwii, because right now we are talking about Emmanuel Okwii. As a national team nga waliwo ba strikers, waliwo badewo ba Geoffrey Serunkuma, wabadewo ba Sentongo, Robert Mwenda. It wasn't so easy for him to just come and play. So he had to come and train and then wait. And when his moment came, kati ekyatufula mainstay in the national team nti we were twagezesebwa. So the time when we came, we were ready to be there, and then we stayed for long. Okay, to stay for long it also calls for discipline mumupira nti olina okuba disciplined nobeera nti you look after yourself in terms of training. Bwoba olaba waliwo ekikubulamu individually n'ogenda n'oyongeramu all those things. And I believe and I want to tell you nti Emma abadde asobola okubeera nga yeefaako, tubadde tulina gye tusinkana eyo ku busaawe nga ayongeramu. Is active, he knows I have to score goals. How do I have to score goals? N'ayongeramu ebirabo strikers. So those are a few things nti tubadde twali tested enough kati when we came we stayed, and then also tubadde twatambula in the line of football discipline and the consistency came.
As Tonny Mawejje, what do you think are some of the main things that you people should concentrate on to build the new generation and help them become consistent like you are on the national team? Ne discipline eyo gyoyogerako.
Buli generation ejja challenges ezaayo. We have qualified for AFCON and we will always go and qualify again. Our focus should be the World Cup. The generations eziddako ffe tulina ate oziyamba to go for World Cup. How? Tulina okubeera nga we go now engage in football ourselves. It doesn't mean that you have to be a coach or something. It doesn't matter direction njotute, but working for football. Era advice jendi mukuwa muganda Emma, now you're going to retire completely. After you have to work football, because we've been in football all our lives. What we know is football. You have to add something to football, and I know you can do that, because when you see some clubs in Europe, they have departmental coaches. If you have Emma concentrating on strikers, you can get the best out of them. I think this is a way to go, to okulaba nti omupiira gwaffe gugenda ku level endala. At the same time okulaba nti Uganda kati tetukyaliba AFCON, next time tugenda wa World Cup. And this is kyetulina okukola ngaffe, kyendowooza nti kyetulina okukola generation yaffe kati to engage ourselves in football and teach the young boys.
Okay, ekirala maybe kyenandibadde nsembayo kubuuza nti emu ku challenges ku basambi ennaku zino is knowing when to call it quits. When is the right moment for you to actually retire, and maybe if you're planning to do it, biki by'olina okuba ng'okolako okulaba nti retiringa oyina fallback position oba oyina wootandikira, kubanga eyo nayo challenge eri awo nti yes mu retirinze gwe wakola testimonial abantu ne bakusiibula, so you had a fallback position. Naye for someone out there, for a young player who needs to be guided, when is the right time to retire if you have to retire?
Yeah, I think first of all, when you have to retire, you feel yourself. I've played football most stages. I know how I was when I was 19. I remember when I was in 20s, and I know how I was in it. The only difference is the more years you play football, the experience helps you until manya nti this game it happened. You get to play a lot of games. You lose a lot of games, you win a lot of games, you see a lot of situations in the game. So kati zitandika ne becoming a part of you. Weewuliriza n'ogamba kati mpulidde ki mutuufu sikyasobola genda nnyo. That is the time you should start thinking. And now bw'otandika okukirowoozaako nti bwe mba sikyasobola genda nnyo, what am I going to do after football? Kiki kyendowooza kyensobola okukola, kiki kyensinga okukola mu mupiira, kiki kyensobola kyenyinamu amaanyi? Is it administration? Is it coaching? Is it going for, because football is wide.
Is it media?
Because football is wide. Go solo kuchuzinga where you feel you have the potential. Naye abantu abasinga they don't get the hope, especially from the clubs. Ne clubs nazo zino okuyamba abasambi bazo, because umula amusambi bamwenga abawadde kyonna, and our time is coming to an end. Atandise okubanga takyali oli gwe mukola ki
gwe mumanyi.
They need this advice. Amugamba olaba twandilowozeza wandikoze kino okirowoozaako ki. So some of the players, they don't get this, which is not good. I think the clubs should look at this into this nti mubasambi bamwe mubatunuulire, even the national team as well. So that's how we prepare people for retirement. Retirement is not easy. Chovola abasambi abamu balema ku mupiira n'asigalako nga time ye ne bagamba nti ali overdue because tebafuna advice nungi. Nawo benyini tebafuna kusalawo, because okusalawo okugamba nti kati nkoze ki nkitadde, it's not easy to make a decision eri bweto. Kati ugenda n'olowoozaamu n'ogamba kati sigenda kuddamu kusamba omupiira, ngenda kukola ki that thing okuvaamu n'ogamba no, nsobola okukola kino, nsobola okukola kino, then n'okuba okufuna that transition to transit from being a football player to being now an administrator to being now a coach. It's not easy. Era nakyo kirina okubeera nga obeera prepared for it. Kakati
eno society gye mujja naffe tulina perception endala ku basambi kusala ku kisaawe oyo Tonny Mawejje kale yasambanga yafunanga ne ssente society yo gigamba ki kubanga naffe I think tujajinga nnyo also tulowooza nti abasambi b'omupiira mufuna buwanana ebintu ebimu tulowooza nti muyina biyitamu naye nga yo human society yo eyinza embracing etya abantu abavudde ku mupiira.
Ffe tusambidde omupiira tulabeko generations ez'abasambi omupiira emabega waffe. They struggled financially, I will say financially they struggled, and also society okubeera awo ne bajaje ne gamba look at these guys, they used to get a lot of money, tebakola bwe bati tebakola ne babeera judge. Some people oba oli awo abandi bayambe nabo ne bapulinga back in that nti babatwalanga abantu abatafaayo babatefaako. So ekyo ekintu bwe nakirabako nga ndaba abamu ku basambi benawuliranga they struggle, so nze kyampa okuba conscious about how I'm going to handle myself after football. Nti kino kiddayo era ku basambi b'omupiira abali eyo nti waliwo Bobi Wine yayimba akayimba n'agamba nti sente ozikola naye wagenda kutuukawo emyaka nga tokola ki nga tokyazikola nga teziriiwo. So my advice to them is when you get money in football, because money is there in football, try to invest something, try to think of the future, try to think of the time wogenda okuba nga tokyasamba mupiira kati. So tutegeke obulamu bwaffe bubeere bulungi, but also the society should know, they should not judge them, should know that
you're human,
we are human as well. The society also should not judge the players that finish football, but also the most caution I put it on the players themselves. Try to invest mu byonna, era nja kumaliza nkugambe baganda bange abasambi, think of that time. Tegenda kuberera nyangu if you don't think about it. Kati time eno ngokola ki ng'oli mu kusamba. It's not easy because I've been there. It's not easy because buli wobeera in a place nga abantu enduulu evuga. It's not easy to think about ebidake mu maaso. Only the wise can think of it. So be wise, my brothers, be wise.
Okay, Emma Okwii, tunula mu kamera eyo mu obubaka bwo obw'okumwebaza, maybe nekyakyo nakyo oyinza okuba ng'omugamba.
Ekisooka, Emma, I will thank you so much for the dedication, for the time, for the national team, for the fans, your fans, those that have grown watching you play football. I thank you for the souls you've touched, Abato, those that have grown watching you score goals, those that are going to become professionals because of you, those that are going to, those that loved football because of you. I want to thank you for the efforts, for all you've done for the national team. But I ask you to still stay in football. Even after you are done with all your career, still go and work for football. But I thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you very much, Tonny Mawejje, for joining me on Pitchside. As we all know, in Uganda, one of our very own announced his retirement from international football. Please note that Emmanuel Okwii only announced his retirement from international football, and he's still active with his club football career, where he turns out for AS Kigali. Yes, but on that very talking point, I'm glad to be joined by Director Proline Football Club, Mr. Mujib Kasule, to try and pay tribute or give a glowing tribute to Emmanuel Okwii, who announced his retirement from the Uganda Cranes, something that I feel is worthy a discussion. Hello Mujib, and welcome to Pitchside once again. You're no longer a visitor, sir, so yeah, glad to have you.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Like any other person, of course, I know you're aware that Emmanuel Okwii retired or announced his retirement from the Uganda Cranes, and lots of tributes have been pouring in to appreciate him and also talk about what he has done for the national team. For someone who played 95 times, scored 28 goals, also played for the Cranes at the AFCON. For starters, what's your take on Emmanuel Okwii's international career as Mujib? You've worked closely with these players and you know them. What's your take on Emma
Okwii was a wonderful, and still is a wonderful football player, but also a very good human being. For you to be a legend, those two are supposed to move together. You have to be a good human being and a good footballer, and this is what Okwii is. As a footballer, I have said it before, he is the one Ugandan player who epitomized the modern forward.
Yes.
We have always been talking about strikers. Uganda has had so many number 9, so many good strikers. But over the years, the game evolved, and then teams started to use the 4-3-3 system, where you have 3 forwards, 2 of them coming from either wings. And Emmanuel Okwii, as that forward that comes off mainly on the left-hand side of the pitch, was the first Ugandan who really played that role and really played it well. So he's not the old center forwards, what we were, number 9 who stays there. But for him, he was a forward that comes off the wings. He's versatile. He knows how to come inside. He had a wonderful technique. He could strike a ball with both feet, but also directing the ball where he wants it to go. So he was not a person who just shoots. So he had technique, he had very good speed, he was a dribbler, and also he could make play. So he had an entire package. He was an excellent worker. The discipline on and off the pitch was good, but also the staying power. You know, playing for the national team for over 10 years, it is extremely difficult. Very few people achieve that. But also, of course, his club career was also stellar. He's been an icon in many places. In Uganda, we revere him. In Tanzania, Okwii is an household name. So you don't get such recognitions in different places unless you've been a great player and a great human being. He has served in the national team quite well. I have told the story somewhere. I'll tell it again. When I joined FUFA in 2011, 2 weeks earlier, David Obua, Ibrahim Sekaja, and Nestroy Chizito had retired from the national team.
Yeah.
And my role as a chairman technical was to assemble a new team that was going to compete on the 2 fronts, Africa Cup of Nations and the World Cup qualifiers. But inside FUFA, we had 2 groups of people. There are those who are still thinking we should convince the other 3 players to come back from retirement because they needed the team to go on and compete immediately. But for me, I had a different view. My view was let the players retire honorably. They have served, they've done their part. Let us not involve them in the politics of trying to convince them to come and play and all that. But when I was speaking to the president then, Dr. Lawrence Mlindwa, I had to convince him. And for me, I was saying, inside the Cranes squad, we already have replacements for those 3. Talking about Jajawaru as a replacement for Nestroy. We discussed Henry Kalungi as a replacement for Sekaja. Then Emmanuel Okwii as a replacement for Boa. So I had to convince him that whatever Boa has been giving us, or Okwii can give it to us, or even more. I have seen him. I think it's high time we trust him to be a mainstay in this team and take us forward. And eventually the president was convinced, and that's when Okwii now became a mainstay in the team. People never knew until now, I think, as I'm speaking about it, that Okwii was the replacement for Boa in the national team, in terms of the team relying on him, in terms of being the X factor, in terms of being the person who takes us forward, the person who gives us the goals and everything. And 10, 12, 13, 14 years later, I'm comfortably saying that he did that job even better, because according to the records, he's the highest scorer we have. So he's done that role quite well. And for me, Uganda football will miss him, because his quality and everything, it's not going to be easy to have another Okwii. So the tributes that are going around are deserved, or even more, because he's really served his nation.
Okay, so Emmanuel Okwii comes from a generation that has had players play for a long time for the national team. Godfrey Alusimbi, like you've mentioned, 103 caps. Dennis Onyango, I think 89 caps. Tonny Mawejje, maybe 84, 83 caps. I can go on and on. Murshid Jukwa and all. What do you think was the X factor of this generation for them to play for the national team for that while? And whenever they showed up, they actually brought their A game.
Number one is discipline, because for you to play for that long, the discipline. Number two, you must have the quality.
Yeah.
To be there.
You don't just show up.
Yeah, because these players have played under different coaches, but to be part of the team with every coach that comes in, it means that you have the quality, you have the class to play at the national team level. But most importantly, I think the fact that they have been able to play outside Uganda. They have taken the game of football more seriously, because when you go and play in the professional ranks, you take the game more seriously. You have to look after yourself well. You have to be competing, and you have to be bringing results week in, week out.
Yeah.
That has helped them to know how to take care of themselves. Their understanding of the game has improved. Those are the factors for me, I think, that have propelled them to the very top, and the ability to stay for longer is as a result of the exposure they got in those different areas. So they knew how to take care of their bodies. They embraced competition. They have been performing week in and week out with their clubs. They had the resilience, they had the discipline, and they had the quality. Ugandan players need to know that playing football at the highest level, playing professionally, it's not a bed of roses. It is extremely difficult. It is a big sacrifice. So you have to suffer to get the results. You have to suffer to get the teams to believe in you. You have to suffer to get the results week in and week out. So Ugandan players need to know that that's what it takes. For them, they think that once you turn pro, it's time to enjoy your life. We have seen many who have gone out to play, but every week they want to come back here and drive the cars they left behind. Every time the national team comes here, it is a struggle for them to go back to their parent clubs. They want to stay here and enjoy life. These people have all had stories that prove their resilience. We talk about Onyango and how he struggled until he cemented a place in one of the big teams, but he was loaned out to small clubs. He was not paid. He did not get what he deserved, but he stayed. Emmanuel Okwii has been the same. He played in Tanzania, did very well. Then he had a stint, I think, in South Africa. Then he went in Austria a bit. So he's been around. He went to Denmark. But he never stopped believing, he never stopped working. So working hard is very important. Also, Uganda has a lot of talent. Almost 80% of our players, the youngsters, are very talented. But they need to know that in the modern game, talent counts for little. Talent will not take you far, talent alone. So you need the discipline, you need the proper ingredients for you to play the game. So learning and understanding the game are quite also important, but working hard is what will get you to the top. Work hard every day, every single day. Whenever you get an opportunity, use it, because many people are waiting to take that very opportunity. These guys have done their best, they have taken their opportunities, and now they are signing out, but they can only be examples to you, the young generations who are out there who still want to play football. It is possible to play football for a very long time, because Emma has been on the national team for 15 years. He has done his bit. He's still playing. He's taken care of himself quite well. So the discipline is what it takes.
Okay, maybe any parting shots to Emma himself.
I want to appreciate you, Emma, for your commitment to your country. You have served your country quite well. You have been a role model to many young boys who have been coming to Nambole to watch you, to emulate you. You have represented Uganda very well everywhere you have gone to play football. The memories, thank you for the memories, especially the ones in Nambole. All your goals, it's very difficult to pick out which one was the best, because you had very good goals. So we thank you very much, and it is time now to join us away from the pitch to continue serving the game and to inspire many young ones who are coming.
All right, I wouldn't say anything less. Mujib Kasule has said it, and of course, for the international retirement, Uganda and everyone appreciates you, Emmanuel Okwii, for what you've done. Thank you very much, Director, for joining me as always. Like we keep saying, keep it pitchside as always, and subscribe, comment, and share. Cheers.